Hi. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you've never been here before. Today we are going to be talking about books yet again. One of my favorite things to talk about. So I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in January. I read a total of 6 books in January, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So first book that I finished in January was Monstrilio by Gerardo Semano Cordova. I was reading this throughout December and then I just happened to finish it in January. This story is, when I describe it, like, listen, it seems very odd, but I kind of like books about stuff like this where it's very obscure. So this is about a grieving mother who just lost her young son. I don't remember how old he is. He's very young. And so she cuts out a piece of his lung and feeds it, keeps it in a jar and feeds it. And it turns sentient, it turns into a human. I gave this 4 stars. Now listen, that premise alone is very intriguing to me, which is the whole reason why I read this book. And also the fact that everyone on the internet that has read this book has given it very high rating. So you can kind of tell just by that premise that there's an undertone of grieving, symbolism on like dealing with grief, dealing with loss of connection with your spouse as well. She's married. Whatever. This book is really good, but I feel like it was too long. Like, part of me feels like there was too many unnecessary elements in there that just did not add to the narrative for me. Again, just for me. Like, that could be my opinion. Like, so you get the perspective of the mom, of the dad, the mom's friend who's like in love with her, and finally at the end you get, you know, the creature that is formed from this lung. You get the creature's perspective. You know, no Tino shade. I just don't think we need the friend's perspective at all. Like, no offense, what kind of part in this do you have? Maybe if I would have seen the grandma's perspective, that would have been interesting, but we didn't get it. So maybe that's just a me problem. I get everything is for a reason. I just didn't vibe with that. I just didn't really care about her. But the story alone and the way that this is written, the descriptions of things, is where this 4 stars lies. And the plot of this, like the idea of like cutting out a piece of a person's body and like feeding it and it growing into a person, is a good concept. You know, that's very intriguing. But yeah, I just feel like this book was too long, honestly. It could have been shortened. Next is a book that I was kind of reading all throughout December as well, and then I finally finished it in January, and that is Cultish by Amanda Montell. This is a nonfiction book about the language of cults, basically describing how the language that cults create is the reason why people get sucked into cults, people get sucked into MLMs, the terminology, all that creates some sort of community. Like, you're in the know of something because you understand what all of these terms mean and everything, is how it ropes people in, right? That sense of community. So I gave this 3 stars. I also felt like this was super long. It was also super short as well. Like, there were other things she could have dove into, but didn't. And kind of vice versa, stuff that she dove into, which I was like, you know, where are we making this connection of it being with cults? Like, I don't know. It seems a little bit like far-fetched to me, but there is a lot of very good information in here, which is why I still gave it 3 stars. I do think it's worth a read. I do think it's interesting enough, but, you know, make your own judgment. There's some things to give and take with it. Next, I read my first Eliza Clark, and that is She's Always Hungry. This is her newest short story collection. It came out in 2024, and I also gave this 3 stars. Now, I've heard Eliza Clark is an author that is very odd and just writes kind of like effed up things to where it's like you don't like the main character, but these are short stories, and the title of it is She's Always Hungry. So I thought it was gonna be very feminine, very girlies, you know, dealing with what it's like being a girl. If you haven't seen other videos, like, I like reading books about the female experience. That was not what this was about. A lot of the stories, if anything, were told from a male's perspective. And I was like, interesting choice to call this She's Always Hungry. And it's not even really about being a girl. And I've noticed this too with short story collections. There's always one fucking story. In every short story collection I've read, there's always one about like, oh, legend has it. And it's like some weird fantasy folklore tale thing. And I can't. I hate when stuff is taking place like that, where it's like, legend has it, like if you feed this thing and like the water and it's a mermaid and like whatever the fuck. I was like, ugh, just don't care. I hate stuff taking place in old timey things like that, where old lore and old folklore tales are still something to be afraid of. You know? I don't know. The stories were just kind of like, okay. The only one that was memorable to me, and I'm not even saying like it was good, it was just memorable, is like the story about this guy who's obsessed with his coworker. And in the book, it literally says, she makes me want to go, auga, boing. And that was the funniest thing I've ever read in my whole life. I highlighted that and I was like, yes. That shit was so funny to me. 3 stars. It was a short read, which is pretty much why I read it. And also because I wanted to see just how weird Eliza Clark is. She is weird, but also kind of boring at the same time. Next, I read Open Throat by Henry Hoke, and I gave this 4 stars. Now, I really like this. This is also a very, very short book. It's 160 pages, but I read it on an ebook, and that was like 50 pages. All right, it's super short and it's super spaced out. The chapters are like 1 page long, and it's not even, paragraph, it's like one word or one line, one word, one line, one word. And like, that's the whole story. So this is about a mountain lion that lives under the Hollywood sign. It's just kind of giving you perspective on people, on society, commentary on how people are in today's day and age, but from a mountain lion's perspective, who doesn't understand needing jobs or relationships or, you know what I mean? Like the complications of being a human. It's a mountain lion. He doesn't understand that stuff. Now, I wanted to read this because I like that premise enough, but I was also told that it's about a gay mountain lion. And I was like, okay, that sounds awesome. Let's see. It is not about a gay mountain lion. Like, I was reading it, again, maybe that's just me. I didn't get any vibe of like him being gay. He doesn't, like, there's nothing like that happens. Again, maybe that is just me because I'm like, this all seems like not normal stuff. I mean, you are a mountain lion, I don't know. But it just seemed like normal mountain lion stuff. I was like, how is this gay? I don't know. It's even described as LGBT. And I'm like, okay, there's other people that he witnesses that are gay because, you can hike up to the Hollywood sign. Other people are gay, but I don't get the vibe that this mountain lion is gay. I was like, let's not put labels on mountain lions, I guess. The ending of the story was what mainly gave this a 4 star, because I liked where this went. I wish the whole story was kind of like this, kind of about this, how this ending is, but I don't want to give any spoilers away. So I enjoyed it. Okay, next I read my first graphic novel of the year, and that is The Winx Club Volume 1. Now, I never seen the show Winx Club. I don't know. No one in my vicinity watched that, so I guess I just never was exposed to it, and it never appealed to me when I was younger, but for some reason as an adult it really does appeal to me. And this graphic novel was so cute. It gave me nostalgic vibes. I want to live here. I want to be a fairy. It was just so fun and magical. Like, need I say more? No. 4 stars. Okay, and lastly, I read Private Rites by Julia Armfield. Now, I always talk about Our Wives Under the Sea, also by Julia Armfield, as a short book that can help you get into reading. Also, like a romance novel. It is very heartbreaking. The prose is amazing, and the story is also fantastic. But it's a nice short book. It's like 100 pages. This one, it's a little bit longer, and it's brand new. It came out in 2024. And dare I say, it didn't need to be this long. It's not even that long, 291 pages. But for me personally, I feel like this would have thrived better as a short story. Now, this is a retelling of Shakespeare's King Lear's play, which is about a king who passes away and like spreads his wealth, I guess, amongst his 3 daughters. And that just causes drama and chaos. Now, I was really in it for that because I was like, okay, it's gonna gonna be about complicated relationships with your family. I thought it was gonna be a lot about like each individual sister's relationship with the dad. They didn't really show that. I mean, it really went into like who these people are and how they act, why they think those things that they think, why one sister is very uptight, or actually they didn't even really go into one sister being very uptight. So they delved into specific people, but I was kind of hoping, maybe this is a me problem, I was kind of hoping or thought that they would talk about, like I said, each individual sister's relationship with the dad. It doesn't ever really get resolved. Now, on top of that, this is kind of in a weird dystopian world where like it's opposite of global warming. It's raining so much and it's like the whole town is drowning basically in water. It's very water-y. And it was a interesting added little factor because of where the ending went with this weird dystopian world. But I'd have loved to see more of their relationship with each other, like them interacting more. A lot of it was like them by themselves. Also, like no offense, like one of the sisters that is kind of estranged, she's kind of like not her fault estranged from her older sisters. She's the youngest because she's the half sister, and she's kind of like not her fault estranged from them because there's kind of a big age gap, and again, she's their half sister. But with her specifically, I did not really like her character. Actually, no, I didn't mind her character. I think this is a writing thing that I didn't like. They talked about her having sex and like so much, and I was like, hey, what is this adding to the novel and like her romantic life? I was like, no offense, I don't care. Like I wanted to see more about her relationship with her siblings. Every time she was with her siblings, she was like, I didn't know what to say. Like I just didn't say anything and like I just had to leave. And I'm like, okay, but why do you feel like that? You know? And it seems like I didn't like the book. I did like the writing of the book because Julia Armfield knows how to fucking write. And the way she describes feelings and emotions and grief and all that was superb. But the story of the specific sister is separate. I was like, I don't care too much about them and them going to work and what they dealt with at work or whatever. I want to see them interact with each other because every time they interacted with each other, they're like fighting and like, you know, it's interesting. And I'm the type of person that loves to read a book where nothing happens and it's about a character development. It's about a character's prose. It's about why a person is doing the things that they do, right? I like reading about this stuff. So it's kind of odd. You would think that I didn't like this because that was basically the premise of this book, right? Not a whole lot of plot. I mean, their dad passes away and they have to deal with, you know, the repercussions of that, you know, dealing with his estate, dealing with setting up a funeral and like all that. And it's also like something interesting happened at the funeral and we don't get to see it. Like it ends. And there's a big time jump. Like something finally like kind of really crazy happens. Not super crazy, but just kind of like, oh shit. Something like that happens about like halfway through the book. There's 2 parts to this book. And then it jumped. This is before the dad's funeral where I'm like, okay, this is gonna make the funeral really awkward. And then in part 2, it jumps forward in time to after the funeral. The one thing I was looking forward to, because I was like, okay, that means shit's about to go down at the funeral. Shit did go down in the funeral, and they didn't fucking show it, and they retold about the shit that went down in the funeral from the fucking one of the sisters' spouses' perspective and the youngest sister's girlfriend perspective that she's been dating for like a month. I don't care about these people. I want to see the siblings like interacting with each other. This book had so much potential. But, however, it does make me want to read the King Lear original Shakespeare play because maybe that will give me what I'm kind of hoping for. I don't know. I think Julia Armfield is a great writer, and I do think this book is still worth a read, all right? I gave it 4 stars. I'm telling you, this is a good book in terms of like learning how to describe. Sometimes you feel things or you think things, but you can't put it into words. Julia Armfield can put it into words. So that is definitely, you know, not an easy thing to do. She's definitely very talented. However, I think she just wanted to have a gay version of this King Lear play, which is fine, but it seemed like that was it. Like there's that and like the underwater, like rainy dystopian opposite of global warming dystopian world. That's all she got. again, if I read the King Lear original play, maybe I would be like, okay, either it's exactly like how the play is or she changed it up a bit, but I can't make the connection obviously because I haven't read King Lear. So I was very disappointed, but even me being very disappointed, I still gave this 4 stars. You know what I mean? So yeah, I still think it's worth the read though. I'm just upset that it wasn't really what I thought it was going to be, which again is maybe my own fault, you know, but I was able to separate my expectations with what I actually got from the book, which was a lot of very good quotes and beautiful writing, which I will always appreciate. So 4 stars on that front. But okay, those are all the books that I read in January. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone on my Patreon. Thank you guys for helping me out, supporting me, and just being the best people ever. Like, you guys are just so sweet on there, always being so kind, and I really do appreciate every single one of you. But yeah, if you guys read anything cool, fun, interesting, or maybe something that you just didn't like that kind of let you down a little bit, let me know in the comments. I love talking about books with you guys. But thank you guys for coming along with me on this journey. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of that jazz. And as always, thanks for watching.